for me to comprehend as humans, even though the situation we tend to find ourselves sometimes doesn't really let us understand what is happening or what we are going through. Some people, it can be something that has to do with the environment where they're coming from. Sometimes it can have something that is related to, let's say, peer pressure, or per se, we can say is connected to the 21st century where every youth wants to fit in. So today, guys, I have two amazing guys in the house. They are very handsome. They are not single.
Thank you.
So don't be too excited. Okay, yes. So today we actually want to talk about something that is very, very important at this time, where everyone or most of the youth feel or see it as what we can tag as youthful exuberance. Okay, so guys, we just want to unveil the topic drug addiction. There are a lot of things that have been happening in terms of especially the youth of this generation being addicted to drugs. So now, as you all know, is your girl Great Faith, and with me I have Obafemi Joshua. Let's not go deep, guys. You guys, you've seen this face before. Yes, and I also, and this is Nelson. So today we have Femi and we have Nelson. So this friend of mine, we're just going to have a dialogue, just like a chit chat. Let's just talk about this thing that is happening, okay? So now, Femi, I want to begin with you. When you hear drug addiction, what comes to your mind? Like, how, with what is happening, how do you see it? And
drug addiction, it's not something new to everybody. It's something that has been, I wouldn't say legalized, but it has been something that has been accepted in the society nowadays. So it's turning into a global pandemic.
Exactly.
Just that people doesn't want to talk about it much because they feel they don't see the need to talk about it. But when it comes to addiction, there's a lot of addictions where you have people addicted to so many things. But the drug addiction is one of the things that is taking over the heart of the youth nowadays.
Yeah.
And from my perspective and from what I've seen, I wouldn't blame anybody who find himself in that situation. Anyone who hasn't find himself in the situation or who is not there should count themselves a bit lucky. Because when we break this thing down, everybody has justification for what they were doing.
For their actions.
So if you want to go down, they have every reason to do whatever they're doing, but it might not be the right solution to the situation they find themselves. So drug addiction, as we've been living with it, and to me, I'm surprised when people say it's a 21st century stuff. It has been in existence for long, but the difference now is that the youth nowadays have the boldness, the courage to do it now and show it to everybody, rather than those times where they do those things behind the door.
Yeah. Alright, so next now I want to come to you. Drug addiction. We know that most of the youth today, especially in the part of the world we are coming from, by the way, guys, 3 of us are Nigerians. It be things. A lot of things is happening in our country, man. So sometimes when I look at these things, I really get crazy. And actually, is this happening, because there was a video I stumbled upon the other day, and I just saw a group of youths, about like 6 of them. They were just mixing different drugs on a bowl. And after, they started drinking it, one after the other, and you need to see them after it. We know that drug has psychological effects. Nobody that is taking drugs today that remains normal, like a normal person. And these youth are beginning to see it like a way of life, like this big boy something. So next thing, coming to you, what do you have to say about drug addiction? With what is happening now, even in our society?
Yeah, drug addiction is it's a terrible thing. Let's call it terrible.
Yeah.
It's a very terrible thing that I always like to talk to people about. So it's one thing that to you is addicted. So if you're addicted to it, it's fun to you, But as time goes by, the damage is crazy.
Yes.
The damage is crazy. Talking about addiction, to people doing it's one flexing thing, it's an enjoyment, but it's something the society needs to look into. It's a terrible thing, it's damaging, the effect is terrible, and it takes time, it takes the grace of God to like get over it. So it's a terrible thing. That's something I would like to say. Yeah.
Okay. So now looking at drug addiction again, let's bring it down. They will always say charity begins at home. We are talking about a country, if actually they are giving us the real population we have in our country. I know they will say, okay, Faith, you're being so specific about a country, where about other Western world where drugs is really. Let me start from where we're coming from, so it wouldn't be like, Faith, you're being too judgmental, you left the country, I said those issues are not there. Okay, no country or no state will say, per se, will say they are immune to their youth or elderly men, call it whatever, being addicted to drugs, not the way it is. Okay, so are we going to say, now, I just wanted to hear what you have to say in regards to this. Are we going to say is the fault of the parents not training these children or this youth properly, or is the children that refuse to adhere to the instructions of their parents?
Okay, if I'm gonna break it down in 3 segments. There's 3 people that determine how successful a man or any citizen of a country will become. The first person is the parent. The second person is the government. And the last person is the person himself or herself.
Okay.
So now let's admit that a child is an orphan.
Okay.
No parent.
For example.
And such a child should have the government to do their own assignments. If you're gonna base it down to where we come from, people always tell you, stop doing this, stop doing this. But in showing you the damages, like, okay, if you keep doing this, this is what you end up doing. But they never show you, if you stop doing this, this is what you end up doing. We always look to that negative, like you show people the consequence without showing them, okay, if you keep on this track, you can be somebody like this. So first of all, let's go back to the parents, to the household where the guy comes from. So there are some times where we learn a lot of things from our parents. They were our first God.
Yeah.
If there's
Actually,
anybody who believes
first
in God.
teacher.
So whatever you see them doing,
You have to practice.
it's what you want to practice. But luckily, if you are lucky enough, you come from a family whereby they don't do such things like smoking, taking drugs and stuff. The society, which should be more controlled by the government, because the government, the society is being built up by each family.
Yeah, social construct.
So the government should be the one that's going to put the awareness from the tender age. I knew nothing about drug stuff when I was in primary school.
Yeah, I don't even think they talk
when I
about
was
it in
secondary
Nigeria.
school. So there are some things we shy away from when it comes to maybe sex education. In the church, nobody want to talk about it. When it comes to drugs, nobody want to talk about it. But the only thing they do is show people on the news, okay, he was caught with this. So what about you? There is this panic where you create in people's life, okay, if you do this, this is what you're gonna do. But have you shown them the example of people who are not into drugs, drug abuse, or who are not into the use of drugs, prescribed drug, even prescribed drug, misusing of them, and these are the example of what they become. We need to show them the bad and the good side. So, but then coming back to the person himself, you should be this teacher to yourself.
Okay.
So you need to think twice, sit down, look at the consequence of what is going to happen, and most things I'm still going to talk about why most people do that. So you yourself should be the person that's going to make that decision yourself. We talk about preparation, we talk about situation, we talk about those things, but you should be the first person. Don't let people decide what you need to do. And there's no, I don't think there's any shortcut to any problem. The best way to solve a problem is to face it.
Yeah.
So I think it's those three factors: the parent, the government, and the person, it's himself or herself, as should be in the forefront of fighting this thing, because the awareness should be there. Let them know from the tender age. If you keep using this is what is going to happen. But if you don't do this is what you can become. You understand?
Yeah.
So,
alright, listen, I want to come to you. In regards to this, who is to be blamed? Is it the parents that refuse to train their children properly? Or the child itself that refused to be trained?
I had this similar conversation with someone last week, but not about drugs. Still about, this, we talked about seeing a lot of things online, like tracking videos, people posting nudes online, and the lady was like, most times it's not the parents,
Okay.
I was like, it's the parents' fault. It's how you raise a child that you see what he or she becomes. She was like, no, it's not always the parents' fault. Most parents really try their best, When a child grows, that's when they decide on who they want to be. I don't think I'm not talking for everyone, but I think from where I'm from, I've seen parents try their best. I have some good friends, I have some bad friends, The bad friends, I know the kind of parents they have. I have bad guys, I have good parents.
Yeah,
So it's not always about the parents. Most parents really did their best, but it's that person's decision. That's the decision they made. Sometimes I don't call it decision. It's like it's the life they just decided to live.
Choice.
It's choice, yeah. I'll say choice. Their choice at that moment. I always pray that people change, So sometimes, most parents that I've known, they did their best. But I'll still say sometimes some parents are at fault,
I don't want to use the word shitty.
Yeah. Sometimes some parents are at fault, when they see this child growing up, and okay, let's talk about parents being at fault. Most of these parents, how are they at fault? Most times they don't really care about the kids, growing up, they don't really.
How about we saying the way they were trained as well? It's like a circuit.
Yeah, I'll come to that. Parents looking at, a child, when a child is growing, they see things and sometimes they ignore. Some parents will talk, some just ignore, they keep ignoring, the child is growing, they're ignoring, and it gets to that stage where this child has the freedom to do whatever he or she wants to do. That's when the problem begins.
Yeah.
When parents just ignore a child and until the child becomes, something you don't want anymore, yeah. So that's where I blame the parents, ignoring the child when this child was little, when this child can actually be corrected, Then talking about the other one, some parents do it. This drug thing you're talking about, it's not just the youth.
Yeah.
Some adults, some like parents do it.
I saw a woman taking drugs and was giving to the doctor.
Some parents do it. So sometimes these children grew up seeing their parents do these things. So seeing their parents do these things, they grew up and it was like a normal thing to them.
Yeah.
So the drug thing is not just, it's everybody's responsibilities.
Exactly.
So it's not just the parents, but most times I would say it's the child's decision. So the best thing is just try and raise your child in a way that, educate them, let them know this is wrong from the beginning.
Yeah.
This is wrong, this is right, this is wrong, this is right. Then when the child grows up, he or she would know, okay, though I think I was told this thing, this is not the way, but this is what I want. Then it's choice.
Yeah.
Then you blame the child for it.
Yeah.
So it depends. It's not always the parents, and then sometimes it's the parents.
Yeah. Actually, guys, I do agree with what they are saying. The truth, from what both of them are saying, is actually correlated, but even if it's coming from different perspectives, it still boils down to you as a person having a specific choice for the kind of lifestyle that you want. So now, I'm going to come to you. Guys, I know you all want to know, why do you think people do drugs? Why?
Okay, first of all,
why should you just take something that is killing you and you keep taking?
Let's
Most times these people don't know it's killing them
Yeah.
actually.
I know, right?
Until
Yeah.
when it eats them.
Yeah.
up.
They don't.
So
they
let's
don't know.
know there are some people who go through drug abuse unknowingly, unconsciously. They just
Okay.
want to up the situation they have. Let's come to painkiller, using of painkiller.
Yeah.
When you use a painkiller tablet, then the doctor told you can use one for 7 days. One pill a day for 7 days. You use the pill one day, you still feel the pain. The pain is still there, and you feel like, oh, no. Let me take 2, and you do the 2. The pain wasn't there. That is drug abuse. Drug addiction starts from abusing of drug. So, and such a person take a note that, okay, fine, I'm feeling good today. So the next thing he does tomorrow, go from 3 to 4. So those are the category that do those things. They start those drug addiction unconsciously. They just want to up the situation they have. So let's come to reality. The reality is that poverty plays a lot of roles when you see people going into drug abuse.
I won't say that. Okay.
So I will give you an example.
All right.
If you check, and I have a very, I'm so certain, and I'm I'm 100% sure of this fact I'm giving you.
Okay.
I come from a very, like a very rough area. I grew up there. I knew what people go into. So, like I was always said, I'm only lucky I didn't do it. And maybe because I could remember the night my mom laid down beside my bed and told me, "Are you small?" I said, "Look, I don't. If I'm going to do it, I
was thinking the mother was praying for you.
No, she kneeled down because she find me in the midst of my friends who took those things, but I never want to do it. It's just not something for me, and I don't blame those guys. So let's go to the why I said poverty sometimes. If you go to those swamp areas where you go to the Ajegunles, you go to a lot of places where people who left their house, they have nothing, they are living in those sheltered houses. That is where you see the acts, as in where you see the act of drug abuse and turn to drug addiction. So poverty sometimes plays a role. Sometimes it might just be due to relationship issue. It might just be due to the situation they find themselves. Some people abuse love due to ex situation. They just want to, and some people just want to forget everything around them. But poverty plays a lot of roles in this. When you look at the index of people that abuse drug, that are drug addicted in Nigeria, let's just come to that. Go and check that. Check their daily income. Some even go to as far as beg to get those drugs. So it plays a lot. The economical situation sometimes push the index of this thing to the top. So this is just something that we need to come to reality. Some people couldn't help themselves. They just want to get away from that box which they are, and just to forget about everything. But we as a human being, sometimes when you have been encamped in a situation, sometimes some people know what they are doing is not right, but the urge to have that thing every day is there. It's there. But like I always believe that any problem you find yourself, once you come into realization that this is a problem,
that's the first solution.
It is first step to the solution.
I think so.
So a lot of people go into that. Maybe you have guys who doesn't have a job, who is thinking who the situation they find themselves. You have maybe somebody who's heartbroken, who just want to forget the situation they have. You have people who have some illness and they believe, okay, if I'm taking this drug, come on, I play football, I know a lot of things. People take those substances just to enhance their ability on field. So they want to, in sport, it's in sport generally, people want to do more than their ability, but they forget that the ability, if you put in your 100% effort in that your normal ability, just your own best of ability, that is the best which you can offer. So it's not, the drug might help you, but it's not going to last. So a lot of things where you find people who come from a broken home,